Earlier, we also spoke to an Afghan man living in Canada. CBC News agreeing not to reveal his identity in order to protect his family in Afghanistan, and he shared his concerns for his family's safety.
The last time I heard from them was yesterday, and I'm sorry, I will get a bit emotional.
It's okay. We understand this is a difficult moment.
So, the yesterday and the day before yesterday, I called and I had short conversation, and the situation is nobody has ever thought that we will go back to the 20 years that we built for women's rights, human rights, and also civilian living, and everybody's very careful with their lives, and they do care from Taliban, and we all know, we all have experienced what kind of people they are and what they are capable of, and what their government or living under their government means to us. So the situation is pretty bad. Nothing is good to say about it.
So your family members, as you say, are fearful, but I also want to touch upon the fact that you told our producer that your family currently has their younger girls locked in the basement. Tell us about that.
All the young girls who are older than 13 years old, because when Taliban captured a lot of northern provinces, they went and they forcefully married the girls that they were young, and they never married. So because it's called their pride of capturing other cities, so they put all the girls in the basement, and the girls themselves, I do know, I talked to them, and they were studying, they wanted to become doctor, engineer, or whatever, but now they're asking their families that in case anybody comes to us, and they're in a dark room down, in the basement, and that basement is particularly made because we already know we have experience of a lot of fights in Afghanistan. And they got us in one of the houses that has those basements, and all of those young girls are locked up, and they put a lot of wood and garbages in the back of the door to not, in case they get in, they couldn't find them. And the girls, they specifically ask that if that thing happened, we will suicide or just let us die instead of becoming slaves of Taliban.
So they would rather die than to be captured, and we certainly have heard stories of the Taliban forcing younger girls, younger women to marry them. So obviously you're concerned for the safety of your family, even those who are not in hiding, though, because I gather you also have family in northern Afghanistan.
Yeah, so we have families, friends, and call them. There's no food. The shops are gone. You can't send them money. You can't help them because there's no way. There's no bank. And what they did was first, when Taliban captured, they sent their male guys to Kabul because they wanted to save their sons. The reason for that was because Taliban forcefully will take you and say, okay, come become fighter or we will kill you. And also, in some instances, what Taliban actually said, that either you give us your daughter or we will kill your son. So that's what happened, and they took it. And a lot of things are now that we see on the news from inside Afghanistan. It's just a part of that propaganda that is nothing is safe. Because I have lived in the time of Taliban, and I know what experience and how frightening it is. Even living in Canada, nightmares, and this is the third night. We have no sleep. I push my wife, and she pushes me, but it's just one of those things.
So you continue to deal with the trauma of what it was like to live under the Taliban, and of course they were in the late 90s in control of Afghanistan. And you were a child at the time, and you're still affected by it. And I'm wondering about what that time was like, if you could tell us a bit more, because your father, to my understanding, was actually held captive by the Taliban.
Yeah, so my father was held captive. My cousins were held captive. They were there for a couple of months. We had no idea where they were. It was just my mom taking care of us, and there's nothing like, and also the fear of the first day when I went to school as a kid, when Taliban captured, I had pants and shirt on, and those Taliban, they reached me and they said that next day if you come with this clothing, we will rip your clothes, and they hit with those cables that they have, and so it was not a good experience. And I do remember, like it's not anything that's hidden near the Russian embassy. We were kids, but there were some families that they were going every day and looking for a list, and there was lists and new and all. Everybody has a record of that. The list of the girls that were lost from the Kabul, and they took them to Pakistan, and still they don't know where they are. It's very like we are now in a situation that we can't do anything. We can't help somebody. We can't.
Let me jump in, because the Canadian government says they are trying to help, and we know that there have already been airlifts of some refugees, numbering some 800 at this point, 500 of whom, to our understanding, are now here in Canada. What do you make of the Canadian effort right now to get Afghans who want to leave the country out of the country? What more would you like to see from Ottawa? Well,
let me be clear. They're not taking out who want to leave Afghanistan, because I will assure you, yesterday, if you see the footage of people that they were hanging on the plane and falling from the sky, that should have actually given a clear picture of why they want to die and they don't want to live under that regime. And Ottawa, this is actually very late. How will you take out my family and those young girls from Afghanistan now? It's now that everything is done. Now saying that, okay, we will see the situation on the ground. I can tell you what the situation on the ground is. You cannot go there. Nobody can go even to the airport. After 8 p.m., you cannot get out of your house because Taliban ordered to shot everyone. And during the day, there's no supermarkets are closed. People cannot drive their car because they can fear that somebody will get that from them. They were just posting some of the videos that we are trying to control people, or we don't want them to lose. Where's life? Where's hope? The Canadian government is standing up in a time that everything is already done.
And again, that was our conversation with an Afghan man here in Canada. We have more details on the situation in Afghanistan on our website. That is CBCNews.ca.